Good evening, Ventura County residents. I'm David Marin with the League of Women Voters, be your moderator tonight. It's our pleasure to bring to you this forum with the three candidates running for the supervisor for District Number 3. And as we get started, I want to give you a few highlights. As attendees, you'll be able to see everything, but you will not be able to ask any questions or chat. The League will post a video of tonight's debate or forum up on our website within about 2 days. We apologize that some of you have had trouble reaching our website. We're working with our webmasters to rectify the problem. Also, another apology, we have worked for the last few days to get the Spanish translation to work. It was supposed to work through the captions. Some of you may actually be able to see Spanish translation. To do that, you would go to the captions button, click on the up arrow, and then slide the little button next to translation to the right. But it appears for most people that is not working. Again, our apologies. With that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce the co-chair of our Voter Services Division for the League of Women Voters of Ventura County, Kathy Morgan.
Good evening and welcome. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization committed to providing voters with factual, non-biased information and as such does not support a particular candidate or political party. The League today continues with the mission of empowering voters and defending democracy by registering voters, providing information about the candidates and the issues, getting out the vote, and supporting fair and transparent elections. The candidate forums are an opportunity for voters to hear from the various candidates regarding the issues that affect our communities and to get the information they need to make an informed choice when they vote. Questions were submitted by the attendees when they registered and not provided to the participants in advance. We are glad that you are here tonight to hear from our candidates. We hope that you get the information you need to make an informed choice. This evening, the League of Women Voters is very pleased to be partnering with the Santa Paula Chamber of Commerce for tonight's event. We thank them for their collaboration and in presenting this forum. At this time, I would like to turn it back to our moderator, David Marin. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of the Santa Paula Chamber of Commerce, John Marquez.
Thank you, David. On behalf of the Santa Paula Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and its members, I want to welcome everyone to our District 3 Candidates Forum. Thank you to our candidates for joining us tonight. Thank you to David Marin and the League of Women Voters for partnering with the Chamber of Commerce to bring everyone this special virtual event tonight. And a warm welcome to our online audience. Your virtual presence adds a significant value to this forum. Thank you for tuning in and participating in this important discussion about the future of our communities. Your questions and input are highly valued. Let's make this a meaningful and engaging exchange of ideas. Our mission is that the Santa Paula Chamber of Commerce fosters a thriving community by connecting our members to resources, advocating for businesses, and promoting economic vitality. Our vision is that Santa Paula is recognized as a special place to live, work, and visit. Our vibrant community connections makes us a leader in Ventura County. This candidates forum serves as a platform for our community and the Santa Clara River Valley to gain insight into candidates' visions for what makes our region special. It's an opportunity to understand their perspectives and ideas, contributing to an informed electorate. We believe in the power of dialogue and appreciate your engagement in shaping the future of District 3. Thank you for being part of this significant discussion.
Thank you, John. So I think we could all agree that this is the one time when everybody probably enjoys Zoom rather than meeting in person, because we don't know how much it's going to rain throughout the district tonight. So we are looking forward, though, to another forum on February 13th with these same candidates that will be in person at the Oxnard Union High School District office. We're going to begin with opening statements. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes for opening statements. We randomly drew numbers when we started, and we'll reverse the order at the end of the evening. Our first candidate is Heather Schmidt, and Heather will unmute you, and you have 1.5 minutes for your opening statement. Please begin.
So I first actually just wanted to thank you, David, and the League of Women Voters and the Santa Paula Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum this evening. I am really looking forward to just hearing everyone else's positions on things and and where things are. So my name is Heather Schmidt. I am a freelance public policy consultant. I have 20 years of experience and education in politics, government organizing, and public administration. So I actually thought I would just use this minute and a half to explain why I'm running for office. So many of you may or may not know, in 2020, I ran for city council in Camarillo, and when that was over with, I was like, done with politics. But then in 2022, my family of six, myself, my husband, my elderly father, and our three kids, we received notice from our landlord that our lease had been terminated for no fault. And we joined literally thousands of Ventura County families in the same position at the time. So it took us about a year of living in very insecure housing, moving from temporary place to temporary place, before we found a full-time lease. And during that time, I met so many families around the county living in RVs, children
10
separated from
seconds.
children separated from their parents, and I couldn't stay out anymore once we were in a permanent situation. So
Thank you, Heather. Going to have to stop you there, and we'll give you a chance to keep adding on to that as you answer the questions. Kim, keep an eye on the timer, please. You have a minute and a half for your opening remarks. Get you unmuted, and then we'll start the timer.
Okay. Hi. Am I ready to go? All right.
Yes.
Hello, and thank you all for attending tonight. My name is Kim Mara Stevenson. I'm running to ensure that all voices in District 3 are heard in this county's government. We need consistent, hardworking leaders who invite tough conversations, listen, problem solve, and help forge a path with jobs and opportunities in environments that are healthy and safe and affordable and accessible to everyone in District 3. My Ventura County roots run deep, 50 years deep. I was a resilient child who experienced my father's mental illness and suicide. My grandmother's care when he was sick. She was a Central Valley farm worker, married to my grandfather, a cook, and a World War II veteran. I also experienced the resilience of my mother, who made sure that her 4 children got the educations and experiences and commitments to serve that she had. I'm not a politician. I'm an award-winning educator and leader currently at Oxnard Middle College, helping students reach their goals with experiences and commitments to serve as well. I'm a Rio Mesa Spartan. I've raised 2 more Spartans with my husband of 30 years, Dave, and I'm ready to be your supervisor. Elected leaders from all over this state have endorsed me, saying that they want someone who walks the talk and that they can work with. In fact, I've been endorsed by over 45 elected officials who have represented this district from Congress to local water boards. And as a community leader, I work every day on behalf of women, immigrants, working families, and their children to help them achieve their dreams.
Have to
I've been
stop you
doing this
there,
every
Kim.
day for decades, and I'm ready to fight for you. Thank
Time's
you.
up, Kim. Okay, and our next candidate, Kelly, will unmute you, or if you're already doing that, thank you. You have a minute and a half when you're ready. Kelly Long.
Thank you so much. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the League of Women Voters and Santa Paula Chamber for hosting us today. I noticed there's over 100 people on today, and that's just phenomenal. I've been doing these forums since 2012, and I think this is one of the best outreaches possible. As a former Pleasant Valley School Board District board member and now running for my 3rd term of Ventura County Supervisor, I proudly support and listen to our District 3. It's been a fabulous time, and I just want to say thank you to all of you for paying attention to our local issues. It's extremely important that we have a strong voice, as you all know I am, for our community to really make sure we're getting what we need for Ventura County and District 3. I'm fiscally responsible as a large business leader that was a director of sales and marketing for an orthopedic company, and my mechanical engineering background with 6 patents. I've utilized that as the 2-term Ventura County Supervisor. I use my knowledge and also my family's experience with 2 children. I live in Camarillo, and I am just so proud to be your supervisor, and I'm looking forward to serving the 3rd term. So thank you so much. Darren and Kathy for this opportunity.
Unmute myself, and then Kim, we'll have you unmute. And yes, looks like you're going to have to do that individually. So candidates, thank you for your opening statements. Let's go ahead and begin with somewhat of a specific question. This is Santa Paula, but it also covers parts of Camarillo, parts of Oxnard. So it's a new district in some ways. Talk about your experience in the community and how you will help to bring in parts of the new district to the entire district. So share with us a little bit about your background, your experience, particularly in the district.
Sure. And that was to me, right?
Yes.
Just making sure I got the process. All right. So
Yeah.
as I just explained, I'm over 50 years in this county. I have family in Santa Paula, Moore Park, Oxnard, Camarillo. I've lived in Ventura, Oxnard, and Camarillo myself. I work every day with students in South Oxnard. I understand the trials and the challenges that families in this community face. The students of South Oxnard are very much like many of the parts of this county, and especially District 3. The areas in District 3 are, frankly, by the State of the Region report, the most vulnerable parts of our county, and every person in this district deserves our attention. So whether it's an unincorporated area, which is directly the responsibility of the county, or it's working with cities as well as our state government and our Congresswoman, Julia Brownlee, who's endorsed me, to make sure that we are getting funding and resources and working together to provide regional resources for local issues. We need to make sure everybody's heard and that everybody's needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly, we'll go to you next. Same questions, just again about bringing in all new parts of the district and working there, and what are some of your experiences in the district?
Thank you so much. So I've been working in the district since 2016. It was redistricted in 2020, which I find it to be a fabulous continuation of the work I've been doing in regards to making this a minority majority district. We have been very focused on the new work that we've been doing with El Rio and Island Acres. We're changed a little bit in Oxnard from South Oxnard to East, but it's still the same concerns for our communities. It's jobs, it is education, getting our water, making sure public safety, and I've been doing that since day one. I've built community relations all the way from the state, federal, and cities to make sure that we're really meeting the needs, whether it's public safety, and you can see my endorsements from the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, from our fire department. I've got SPOC and POAC from the state level. We work very closely with FEMA, and since Promise Fire, that's been my goal, working with communities for the needs of our constituents. And so I focus on that every single day, and I'm proud that I have a fabulous staff with me to do that, because that's number one, is our constituents. Even today, I was having a hard time because of the storm to join tonight because of that.
Thank you, Kelly. And next, Heather, well, same question to you. Tell us a little bit about your experiences working in District 3.
Yeah, so I have lived in Ventura County since 2000, and I've worked in Ventura County for 20 years, mostly as a community organizer. So I have a lot of experience with a lot of different organizations. I've worked with the Working People's Alliance. I organized neighborhood watch groups out in Camarillo. Then there's like more hobby related things where I've developed community with, like the Camarillo Arts Center. My family is from Ventura County, Oxnard, Santa Paula, Camarillo. So we really span the whole community. But in the last few years, what I've really been focusing on is private consulting in Ventura County with public, private, and nonprofit organizations. And then outside of the county and really all over the country. And I think that, the thing that has really struck me is that there are very easy policy solutions to a lot of our problems, especially in District 3. I agree with Kim that, this is the most underrepresented district that has had some of the most severe outcomes of our most recent challenges. And we just, I know how to put policy into action to resolve those.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. We're going to focus in on Santa Paula Fillmore. Kelly, you'll be first on this one, if you can unmute. So two big issues in Santa Paula, many, but one of them is what can you do to support the new hospital and then also a new East County campus for the community colleges in Santa Paula. So share with us some of your specific plans, visions to support a hospital and a East County campus for the community colleges.
Thank you. Good question. I appreciate whoever turned that one in. As I came in following Supervisor Kathy Long, we have known that our hospital system is extremely crucial for our most needed community members in the Santa Clara Valley. And I've been working very hard to make sure, for example, mammograms, we funded that over a year ago. Families were not getting mammograms, and we were able to figure out how to get that there. Also, CT machine, the scanner wasn't there. And I formulated the Santa Paula Blue Ribbon Committee to really look at the behavioral health, our hospital needs, and also our clinics. I've been advocating on the medical oversight board to ensure that we have the funding to build a new hospital in between Santa Paula and Fillmore, and that's still in the works. Excited to be finishing off a third term, hopefully, to get that done. Then also with the college district, we've had outreach since I've started to make sure that we do have the education needs of Santa Clara Valley, along with doing funding for buses to go from Fillmore to Moorpark College. So you can either go to our satellite in East Santa Paula or to Ventura. So making sure you can go depending on your major where it is. So, and more.
Thank you. And Heather, you're up next. You can unmute. And same question to you. What are your vision, your plans to help support a new hospital and East County campus?
Yeah, so first of all, I absolutely support the building of a new hospital, but I actually would like to focus on also working to have more innovation within the hospital system so that services can be delivered to patients in a more timely manner. A lot of the complaints that I've heard from people is that, they qualify for certain things, especially relative to mental and behavioral health, but they're not getting serviced really in the time that prevents them from falling to some sort of despair or having some sort of other, externality from that. With respect to the college campus, I totally support expanding to have a larger not just extension, but just another campus out in the Santa Clara Valley. But I also think that we need to be looking at housing for college students. Something no one talks about is how many homeless college students we have. I have a pirate myself. She's a sophomore, a 4.0 student, tennis player, and one of the things that they do is they share the locker room with homeless students who have nowhere to shower. And so we can't talk about expanding the college system without talking about housing those students as well. And so I support doing that.
Thank you. Kim, same question to you, your vision, plans, how to get the hospital and the East County campus?
Right. So let's go to the East County campus. So I was at the hearing with the Ventura County Community College District last week. I also testified on behalf of the Santa Clara Valley region and the need for that. And I did mention that the last time I spoke to that board was to advocate for the solar paneling and EV systems at Oxnard College. Kind of a similar issue where Moorpark and Ventura had been slated for this project, but Oxnard College wasn't included. So I wanted to make sure to speak up at that time for equity for all of our people in the Ventura County Community College District. And similarly, last week in Santa Paula, I was advocating that the Heritage Valley or Santa Clara Valley was also getting equity here when it comes to education. And just as both Kelly and Heather have mentioned, that transportation and access is a huge issue. So not everybody in the community has transportation or the ability to stay close to a community college. And so we heard the testimony of one young lady who talked about how it would take her all day to attend 2 classes because she would have to figure out the bus route, get transportation there, take one class, wait 6 hours for another class, and then hope that there was going to be transportation on the way home. As far as the hospital, I really appreciate the endorsement of former Supervisor Kathy Long, who did start working on that hospital issue. I just want to ensure that healthcare needs are readily available and fully met for everyone in the Santa Clara Valley. Thank you.
Stop you there, but good news, Kim, you get to go first on the next one.
Oh,
So
all right.
keep going. So you've all talked in a little bit of a way about equity. So let's try to drill down into it rather than we all care about equity. But what are some of the things that you as a supervisor could do to try and level the playing field, provide more equity to some of the hardworking families in the Santa Clara Valley and also the area in North Oxnard, El Rio, La Colonia, Nyland Acres, some of those areas that are now part of the district. So what are your specific plans if you are elected or re-elected to try and make life better out there for the residents? Kim, your first minute and a half.
Okay, let's not forget that there is a part of South Oxnard that's still included, right? There's Lemonwood, as well as it kind of juts down right there just adjacent to Oxnard College along the drainage ditches there. But so yes, I want to make sure that all areas are paid attention to. I have a deep understanding of the challenges that our families face here in this community. We have a mandate in this county right now, or a resolution that racism is a healthcare issue, and I'd like to see that followed through. Make sure that we are looking at data on how people in this community are being served by the county, and that their healthcare needs and their social needs, all of their needs, are being met by county services. We need to make sure that we are communicating with them, we are listening to them, communicating to them, educating them, and making sure they have the access to be able to reach those services. And that sometimes means not looking at people as numbers, but looking at them as people, and that we need to be able to reach all corners of this county, even if there are fewer in some corners than others. Everybody here gets postal service. That's what public service is. Everybody here gets services, whether you are 10 in a corner or 10,000 in a corner. We need to make sure that everybody in our community gets that. I also want to make sure we're looking at IMDEI, or Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Certified by the University of Florida.
Thank
Make
you,
sure
Kim.
that this is.
Gotta
Thank
stop
you.
you there. Keep an eye on the
Got it.
time. Heather, same question to you. What are some of the specific things you'll do if elected to improve the situation for families in all of the underserved areas of Ventura, of your district?
Yeah. So 9 out of 10 people who experience hardship, that is stuff like homelessness, medical crisis, bankruptcy, think of any hardship that you can think of that we especially experience in this community that disproportionately impact, Black and brown communities, that disproportionately impact women. We can fix that just by delivering them their public sector services in a more timely manner. People that fall to homelessness, it's been found study after study that if they were delivered their mental health or job or housing services in a quicker, more timely manner, they would not have fallen to that situation. So poverty in this district has reached 8.94%, and the top 3 groups are women. So again, we need to look at how can we support these groups in a more equitable way. And we do that by ensuring that they have access to these services that they, have a right to, that they qualify for. That there's a no-brainer that they should be getting, and get it in a timely manner. And we could do that by innovating at the public sector. And as I always talk about, just improving our good governance.
Thank you. Kelly, we'll wrap up this question with you. If you're reelected, what are some of your specific plans to help the less fortunate within your district?
Good question. Thank you. I've been working with many of our constituents, community leaders, really taking a pulse what's going on. And I think it's really important that we talk about the healthcare of our community. It is a strong safety net for our community. And we have a healthcare equity advisory committee that meets on a regular basis to make sure that we are addressing those needs in the healthcare. And then also I do work in the education side and childcare, ensuring that Channel Islands, CSU, CI, our community college districts, along with the Navy base Ventura are connected, and the P12, so that we can educate our students here so they can live here and work here. Also, I work with the Fox Canyon. I'm trying to do a water district in El Rio to get reliable water. Fillmore Pirate Basin I'm working on also, because if we can get reliable water, we can then create housing. We have ADUs that are looking at to get some multi-family building there, because as we know, our finances are tight. And how do we expand what we have to house our community? With $2,700 as a 2-bedroom apartment, that's unrealistic for most of our community. And so how do we do that? And we need to have affordable housing as well. So those are a couple of things I'm working on. Thank you.
Thank you. Heather, I'm going to start with you on this next question about homelessness. And I'm combining several. We've had a lot of questions on many topics, but specifically as far as your plans for dealing with the unhoused, also talking about the relationship, even though most of the housing is within cities, the county is a leader and works with individual cities on providing services, coordination, talk about how you will do that. And also, if you wish, we'd like to know your position on Proposition 1. For those of you at home, this is a state initiative that'll be on the ballot, creates a bond for increased spending to address homelessness as well. So candidates, if you can share your view on that. But in general, Heather, how will you work to improve the homeless situation?
Yeah, so I'll try to fit this in the minute and a half. So the first thing I think we need to do is evaluate our existing programming to ensure that it is meeting benchmarks and resolving it for the people that it is resolving it for. The second thing that I think that we need to do, as I've already touched on, is use innovation and technology to improve our service times, service delivery in the public sector agencies, housing agencies, mental health agencies, job creation agencies. The third thing I think we need to do is look at working with the cities to create more protection for renters, such as rent caps, and to start looking at really seriously doing some infill. 15% or so of our unused commercial property can be immediately converted to housing. And yet we have all of these buildings that are sitting relatively empty for decades. I mean, I can think of some that have been empty as long as I've lived here, for almost 30 years. So 15% of those can be converted very, very quickly. With respect to Proposition 1, I share the concerns of the League of Women Voters, but I want to say I'm going to vote yes on Proposition 1, but I'm also a little undecided because I do have concerns.
Thank you.
There's a lot.
Kelly, same question to you. Tell us about your plans as far as dealing with homelessness, working with the cities, your view on Proposition 1.
Thank you. We've been working on this. I'm on the executive directors for California State Association of Counties, and we've been working with the governor's office and Jackie Irwin in regards to Proposition 1, making sure that we can address the needs of our behavioral health, and then also with our homeless. And it's not an easy situation, from saving someone from being evicted and doing rental assistance to drug intervention to making sure that there's a step up workforce development. I think a great example is the work we're doing at the Spirit of Santa Paula with Kay Wilson. For those that are in the Santa Clara Valley, we are really, I pushed very hard to ensure that we worked regionally with a continuum of care in our city of Fillmore, city of Santa Paula, to address our homeless areas, homeless needs where they are. So with the Spirit of Santa Paula, helping them with a 49-bed location that also houses families. It's not just one person that could be homeless. It could be the entire family. And so then also all the services, wraparound services, so that we can direct them to where they need, because just putting a roof over the person's head is not the solution all the time. So really addressing that, we do that on a monthly basis too. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, we'll wrap up with you on this one about dealing with homelessness, working with the cities. Proposition 1, share with us your plans.
Sure. Proposition 1 is an easy one for me. I support it. I am looking for increased services for mental health, including especially for our veterans who are mentioned in this bill. I'm also for accountability in government, which is a huge part of this bill as well, making sure that the monies are spent and spent where they're supposed to be spent to help our communities the most. And as Heather said, we need to work with data and look at where the needs are and what we can do. And what we all know is that homelessness is something we all face right now, with the affordability and opportunities crisis we're facing. So not that we're all facing homelessness, but we're all feeling vulnerable. And what I want to say is that we need projects like the one that's now established in Fillmore. I was attending those planning meetings several years ago. That is a project where there's housing up above and services down below. So you have to qualify to live in this project. But once you're there, you have services for your children, tutoring, for your health and mental health as well. So that's one type of service. But I also like the model that Thousand Oaks is using, which is looking at all segments of our community, going from people who are unhoused, people on the verge of being unhoused, all the way through working people, seniors, and all different aspects, making sure that we're providing housing for all sectors of our community that are feeling vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to start the next question with Kelly. We're going to talk about climate change. Quite a few questions here as well, trying to combine some of these. Let me just share with you a little bit what's on people's minds, and then we'll get into a specific question. But people are concerned about 1,000-year storms, events, and droughts that we've had. It wasn't that long ago that we were in a very bad drought. So there's the question about, well, what can the board actually do? Do you believe in climate change? What are some of your plans to address it? So here's the question I'll ask all of you. What specific plans or vision do you have to help the county address global climate change? And do you feel there is more that the county should be doing? And Kelly, you're up first.
Thank you. So, I've dealt with the Thomas fire in 2017 to 2 more fires, 2018 to 2 more in 2019. We just had South Mountain. We've had storms, and that we've done declarations of emergency on the state and federal level. So there is definitely something that needs to change with our weather and how it affects our community. And so I'm really proud that our Board of Supervisors, we've got the general plan for 2024, which addresses climate change in many ways. And we've incorporated very good policies and programs related to climate change. As you know, our state GHG reduction targets are coming for 2030. We've got 2040 coming. And we need to hit those targets as a county. We have our county's climate action plan, where we're looking at reducing those greenhouse gases, GHG, emission reduction strategy. We also have that reduction for goals and targets. We also have a climate adaptation and resilience strategy. There's mitigations that we've set through. We have our air quality district that we're doing, and much more.
Thank you. Kim, you'll be up next. So same question to you as far as what are some of the specific plans you think the county should be doing? You think the county is doing enough to deal with global climate change? Kim.
No, we're not doing enough. So we need, I want to be a watchdog for our neighborhoods. I want to look out for our community's health and our environment. Once our environment is polluted, once our water has salt water seepage or pollution in it, you can't get it back and it's gone. We have limited resources in this county. We have limited water in this county, limited access to it. If we allow those things to happen, we will be like a cup with many straws in it and not enough for everybody to drink from. So we don't just need sustainability ideas, but we also need funding behind them, and doing sustainable practices within our own county practices and facilities. I walk the walk as well as talk the talk. I've replaced all of my lawns with native plants. I've been driving an EV for over 20 years. And interestingly, this go round, both trades and environmental groups have endorsed me, whether it's the operating engineers, the sheet metal workers, or the iron workers, as well as many climate change groups, because they know that I'm someone that we can have conversations with and come up with real solutions to problems. The trades are seeing that sustainability is the economic future. They see the infrastructure needs to happen. We need to work on infrastructure along that 126 corridor. That could be an economic boon for this area. I, as an EV driver, know that I like to park, eat, let my dog poop, and go to the bathroom in the same place while I'm waiting for my car to charge. We can do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Heather, you're up next. Share with us your vision, your plans for dealing with climate change.
Yeah, so first of all, Ventura County is the fastest warming county in the contiguous United States. And I think that that is a clear evidence that we have a failure of our local government to really do its job to mitigate the impacts of, all this private enterprise and what it does to our air quality, with pesticides, and then our warming with the oil companies. I think that the county can be a lot more firm with the oil companies. I don't know how many of you were tuned in to the debate a few months ago over the language in the general plan. But we can be firm with oil companies about cleaning up the mess that they make, and we can be firm with them about how far they have to drill from our neighborhoods and our schools. That is constitutionally been settled in court on numerous occasions, and I think it's really outrageous to argue that we can't be firm, because that's the job of government. The job of government is to mitigate, I don't want to use too much technical terms, but negative externalities from harming our community. And so my plan is to be firmer on that, and then also to work to protect the communities more as we adapt to, unfortunately.
Heather, I'm going to stay with you for the next question. That's around agriculture. Certainly the Santa Clara Valley, Santa Paula, Fillmore, Piru, a great amount of agriculture, a couple of very large companies out there, and many local farmers. Share with us your vision for helping farmers to continue to do what they do out there, and in particular address issues such as water, pesticides, petrochemical production in the area. Share with us your vision for agriculture for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, so I think that innovation and technology is going to be one of the most important things that the county harnesses in the next 5 to 10 years, and we can do that as leaders, and then we can partner with community, farms, farm owners, to ensure that they are implementing newer technologies that do what they do more sustainably, use less toxic chemicals, follow stricter guidance in the general plan, and still be able to make a profit. But then I also want to make sure that we're focusing on the farm workers, because they are just as much of an important part of the agricultural economy as the farm owners are. We need to be protecting them in much greater ways, as we were just talking about the climate changes. One of the things that was a hot topic last summer and then just kind of dropped was heat protections for farm workers. And that's something I think that we can do regionally that is sustainable, you know, as a business model for farm owners, but also will protect our farm workers. Because if they get sick and can't do their job, that's bad for our economy also.
Thank you. And Kim, same question to you about supporting agriculture in Santa Clara Valley and really throughout the county. Specific comments, though, about agricultural pesticides, petrochemicals, your vision.
Right. As I've said, I want to be a watchdog for our families and our working people. My family, my family is farm workers. As I told you, they are also farmers. They became farm owners later. But, you know, of my grandmother's 8 children, 3 have passed at early ages, 30, 40, and 60, living in the Central Valley with, as Heather said, high pesticide, high pollution rates. It's hard for me to believe that that's not related. So I clearly understand, and I come from a very close family. So these are my aunts and uncles, and I'm the oldest of the 24 grandchildren, helped raise all of their kids. This is painful and it's real. We need protections for our farm workers. We need to work on our industrial practices to protect our environment and our climate, to make sure that we are healthy and safe. We should not be putting motions on the table, Supervisor Long, to drill within the zone of an aquifer, as well as within the zone of Lemonwood community, meaning within the buffer zone, the danger buffer zone of both an elementary school as well as a park. And that community, while I was out walking and trying to inform the community about what was going on, you were taking money from oil. As you know, you've already gotten 825,000 this round. Thank you.
Run out. Kelly, so the question to you is about agriculture, as far as ensuring long-term viability of agriculture, your vision for the next 5-10 years, your views on the pesticide, water, and others.
Thank you. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but my background, family, dairy farmers in Wisconsin, and we have a tree farm that we're a part of in Washington State. I am very much endorsed by farmers and farm workers in the area of Ventura County. And so proud of 150 years worth of farming here. It's over 6 generations. And how important is a $2 billion economy to our community, and eating healthy. We have a Healthy Communities SB 1000 that we follow. We are making sure our Agriculture Commission is working with our farmers and pesticides, getting the healthiest ones we can for it, also training our farm workers how to handle that to make sure that they're safe. I'm also in the Fillmore Piru GSA, which is the formation of making sure that we have sustainable drinking water throughout the Santa Clara Valley, along with Fox Canyon, which is the aquifer that is doing all of Oxnard Plains. And so I appreciate working with the Department of Waters to ensure healthy, reliable drinking water. I'm also working with our farmers on how do we water, maintenance, and making sure that we're in automation so that we can really get the needs of our farmers and our farm workers and the agriculture community.
Thank you, Kelly. Got to stop you there. Kim, we're going to start with you on the next question. We've had quite a few on this. We'll probably have maybe 2 questions if I have time. But mental health, this is certainly a challenge in Ventura County. And many of these questions express a frustration with the county. Things like the behavioral health department is in crisis. We're lagging building adequate infrastructure or additional beds, or the county received over 160 million in ARPA money that was from COVID and rescue, and 22 million of it went for mental health, but is that actually getting anywhere? So there's clearly a frustration. I'm sure all 3 of you are aware of that. It's a very challenging issue. So if you were elected, what are some of the steps you're going to take to try and increase the number of beds, provide more services, and take care of those who need it?
Mm-hmm. Again, this is personal for me. My family's big and we've got lots of family issues. So I have had to spend 3 days in the emergency room with a family member waiting for a bed to open. We definitely need more facilities. Both Vista Del Mar is facing permitting issues. They can only take voluntary patients at this point, which means we have very few, if any, beds for our youth, especially. And as a school educator and an administrator, as well as a teacher, I have been heartbroken by the many families who don't know where their children go when they need services. We, we call CERT, we work with our law enforcement, and we do what we can. But it is a crisis when we don't have places where youth as well as adults can go when they need it. So our kids are being shipped to places like Riverside and Bakersfield. Sometimes their families can't get to them and care for them or stay with them. It's, we had temporarily some beds at the airport. Those are now gone. And that ARPA money is a mystery. So we received almost $20,000 or $20 million, and we don't know where that's gone. We've been told that it should go to emergency services in Santa Clara Valley, as well as near Growing Works on Lewis and Camarillo, but it hasn't happened yet. So promises have been made, but not kept, and families are in crisis.
Thank you. Kelly, same question to you. If you could address some of these concerns that people express about mental health and your plans to try and get the county to appear like it's doing something more than just people feeling frustrated.
Well, it's disheartening to say the communication is out there, and we hire PIOs to really ensure that. So I appreciate that feedback from the other candidates. We do have a 16 bed facility that is by the Camarillo Airport for care locally. We also work with Casa Pacifica to treat the children here locally versus taking outside students in. We're also working with our cities. We have to ensure that there's facilities and infrastructure created so that we can do that housing, because we know, based on all of the needs assessment that we've done, that we need to build more secured and voluntary facilities. And we have that in the works. If you've watched the Board of Supervisors meeting in regards to a campus in Lewis Road. I think that really enhances Growing Works and the senior living that we're doing there. And I think that one's important. We also have our behavioral health board and our equity board that we're looking at making sure what are the needs of the community and how do we do it. We had $164 million in ARPA funding. We listened to our community members and we've divvied up that funding so that we can fit the needs of the community. So it's working on it, and we need to be more outreach so you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Heather, same question to you about mental health services. What are your plans if elected?
Yeah, so first I want to address what I would do really quickly. As I already said, 9 out of 10 people that fall to like a mental health crisis where they land in an emergency room or they attempt suicide, they actually qualified for public sector services, and they were just waiting for them. So we need to improve, again, service delivery times within our area agencies. The second thing that I feel that we need to do strongly, and this is what I do pretty often in my day job, is program evaluations of every single program that we are taking and spending money on to determine whether or not we are meeting benchmarks. I've done evaluations when preparing for this campaign just myself, and it looks like we're not. But I also want to go over just really quickly why people are having such a problem with mental health, especially kids. Our cost of living is out of control. Parents are having to work 2, 3, and 4 jobs just to pay the rent. You have to work 2.8 minimum wage jobs just to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. Kids are depressed because their parents can't be home, because their parents are struggling to put food on the table. So we need to resolve this cost of living issue in order to also solve this mental health crisis as I see it. I think that they're interconnected.
Okay, thank you. And Kelly, we'll start with you on this next one. So a variety of questions around campaign finance reform. And as many people know, this was a very hot issue at the beginning of I guess, beginning of last year. So and I want to sort of have you take a look and just say, in general, is the way that campaigns are now financed in Ventura County without a limit, how is that impacting campaigns? Do you feel that there should be some adjustments made, some type of revised campaign finance reform ordinance? Has this, just in general, what do you think of the impacts are of removing the old ordinance?
That's a great question. I've had this conversation with many different supervisors throughout the state, and especially Bruce Gibson. He's a Democrat president for CSAC and also for San Luis Obispo. And we are talking about how important it is for transparency and to have equality throughout all the counties, and that having the state ordinance was very important for that transparency and tracking of funds with FPCC, which is really, really important, I believe. And so having duplication at the Ventura County level with the past ordinance seemed very redundant and not a good use of taxpayer funds when we need them for housing. We need that for homeless services. We've got so many other things that we need to be working with. And to have one structure from the state perspective, just like our voting, our clerk recorder, our ballots and everything, all that information is all same one. It's really important that we're making sure that our community can go to one site and have all that information versus the duplicity. As far as the donations go, I think on all sides, no matter where they are, people donate what they can. I've gotten, really.
You're about out of time.
Not much. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Heather, same question to you as far as has the removal of the ordinance affected your campaign? What do you think is the right type of campaign ordinance?
Yeah, so I actually agree with Supervisor Long that there needs to be a lot more transparency. And I actually believe that money should be spent to make it that way. It's incredibly complicated for people to see who is donating to candidates, not just how much, but who. And I think we should be making it a lot easier for people to know who, gave money, who got money, because a lot of times the people that are complaining about, these finance limits are still taking those dollar amounts and giving those dollar amounts. And so I actually agree that, there needs to be a lot more transparency around the process, because of like Citizens United and a lot of other like higher court decisions. You can't really do that much in the space of restricting how much money goes to campaigns, and that's just a fact. So why don't we deal with it in a way that we can, which is making it easier for people in the general public to know where all that money came from, as a public service, instead of just hoping that they figure it out.
Thank you. Kim, same question to you. Your views about is there some other type of campaign finance reform that should be in place? How has it affected your campaign?
Well, I think the money you raise tells a story about your campaign and who you represent. And, we've analyzed the data of who's donated to these campaigns. And, one interesting piece of the story is that my donations, and I've raised almost as much as Supervisor Long in my account, and my donations are 50-50, under $100 and more than $100, where hers, I think she got a total of $16 under $100. So my concern with this is the infiltration of outside money coming into our campaigns and affecting and corrupting our local government. The second piece of this was the disbanding of the Ethics Commission. So when you talk about transparency, I agree with both of you that how can we have transparency without a commission to make sure that we're following the rules and and doing things properly. So that part of it was actually even more concerning. The rationale was that this would stop independent expenditures or reduce them, and that has not been the case. As I started to say earlier, Supervisor Long has received already, it's been reported, $125,000 from the oil industry in the form of a political action committee. That's public record. You can see that. And she votes consistently in their favor. So, do you vote by how you're paid, or do you vote by conscience and your values, and maybe both? But it does call into question
That's your time,
that issue.
Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. I'm going to start the next one with you because, and thank you to the audience. I mean, we had a lot of terrific questions. I'm sorry I'm not able to get to all of them, but let's talk about oil and gas because that's apparently a big concern. So there's questions about the abandoned oil wells in Ventura County. There's also concerns about oil and gas profits and their influences within the county, and also drilling near homes and schools. So I won't ask you to answer all of those within a minute and a half, but I would like to hear your views. And Kim, we're starting with you. Dealing with abandoned oil wells, drilling near homes and schools, and anything else you wish to add for oil and gas.
Sure. So feels like I just got off, but here we are. So, as I've used the word accountability several times tonight, we need to hold our industries accountable to their own practices, and making sure that our abandoned wells are properly capped and left in a safe condition for our families and our working people in those areas. Many of these drills are in agricultural areas. We've talked about agriculture already, and they're also near our aquifers and our water sources. So we have to make sure that we are meeting environmental standards, and that we're not automatically approving or grandfathering in antiquated permits, meaning that permits that were given back in the 50s and 60s are automatically approved without environmental review. We need to make sure that they're meeting current health and safety standards, especially because oil drilling practices have had to change. It's not like you've got this indefinite amount of oil under the ground. You have to tap into it more forcefully in order to get to it. So when you do that, you're putting our water tables, you're putting our fields at risk. And once you get that seepage, or you get the things in the air that are causing asthma and other problems in our local communities, we just need to make sure they're meeting local or current health and safety standards. Thanks.
Thank you. Heather, same question to you. Your views about oil and gas in Ventura County, specifically abandoned oil wells and drilling near homes and schools.
Yeah, so I've said a few times through the course of this, one of the primary jobs of regional government is to mitigate negative outcomes for the community, negative externalities of private enterprise, which oil companies are. So I think that having more stringent requirements on them to clean up after themselves, to go in and make sure that they're, capping off the wells and that they are following guidance is a very reasonable thing to do. It is not, it doesn't, infringe upon their rights as private organizations. It's been established over, years of legal standing. And also it's, in my view, it's job creation. If you're requiring oil companies to clean up after themselves, you're creating more jobs because they have to have more people to come in and clean up the mess. So, I mean, it seems to make sense that it is a good middle ground to, at the very least, require them to clean up after themselves. And that is the basic function of government. I can't emphasize that enough. Like, the job of government is to make sure that these private organizations are not harming the community. And what's happening right now is that they are.
Thank you. And Kelly, we'll wrap up this question with you. Your views with oil and gas, dealing with abandoned oil wells, drilling near homes and schools, other comments or views on oil and gas industry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted to clarify, there's some attacks and sounding words that are being said there. And I really want people to be educated in regards to, there has been no reports of contamination of our water aquifers at all by our oil. And so I want to make sure that you know that Ventura County is watching that and working with DWR. And we've even taken moratoriums for drilling oil, which I voted for, to ensure that the drinking water is there. And then also I need you to make sure everyone knows about the strict regulations that the state has put on our oil company and gas production companies. I think that's really important that you all know that that is being done, and that there are dozens of state or agencies heavily regulating this industry. If you look at the Civic Alliance book, they actually put out information in regards to our oil and gas production and how much that has decreased. And also, I think it's really important that we are looking at the abandoned wells on a state level and a county level, also to the distance drill. In our general plan, we're looking to make sure that the rules and regulations of the state and the county are followed. I think that's really important.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Time. Heather, we'll start the next round of questions with you. And we haven't dealt with this yet, but the economy, jobs, training the next workforce for the future. But Ventura County's economy has been pretty much stagnant for years. And while the Board of Supervisors cannot magically make businesses appear, there is a lot of coordination with the cities to try and attract new businesses and come up with policies that help to train the workforce and keep our young people here. So tell us, what are some of the specific goals, objectives you would have as a supervisor to improve our economy?
Yeah, so focusing on innovation, innovation and technology is the most important thing, especially, today it's 2024, we've got generative AI, we have so many opportunities for the county to bring that in and expand both in the county government as a leader, and then filter that out into the community. If we bring more innovation into our county agencies, we create jobs around the county just to support that. We also create jobs in cybersecurity. I also think that something that we need to be doing is working more with the cities to make permitting and regulations easier to follow, easier to get permitted to open a business. We need to have more specialized categories. So like doctors can come to our community. We have a shortage of specialists. I have 3 kids. My middle child has rheumatoid arthritis. There isn't a rheumatologist in Ventura County that will see children. So I think that is something that we can do very quickly, is just make it easier for these specialty practices that, bring in higher paying jobs and higher paying specialists and qualified individuals, by just making it easier for them to come here, by cleaning up the red tape and getting them their permits a lot quicker. And I'm up on time there.
Thank you, Heather. Kelly, same question to you as far as improving our economy, creating better jobs. What are some of your strategies if you're reelected?
So I've been working on this since 2016, even as a school board member, ensuring that our students are ready for either a ROTC program or going to college, to ensure that they can have a job once they graduate from college. And we've been working very hard in an economic strategic plan, which I know many are familiar with. And really, how do we boost the businesses here? So it's not having just one business, but a multitude. So it's not only service, it's our Navy-based Ventura County. We have biotech, we have industrial, we have unmanned vehicles. We now at the Navy have from air, sea, underwater, that technology from the Navy base that I've been actively pushing on from this PC is now entwined into personal small business companies that are now hiring locally. And that's the key, is really working with our cities, because we know the industrial areas are more in the cities, to really engage the companies to be here, and then to hire those people. And what we find, at least when I'm talking to the executives, They say this is a wonderful area, but we need housing. We need great school districts. We need all the services that our communities can thrive on. And so it is working with everyone, listening to our communities, and then working with our colleges to fit those needs, community colleges and so forth. Thank you.
All right. My screen is jumping around. So Kim, we'll wrap up with you on this question about the economy. Share with us some of your views about how to improve the economy in Ventura County, create better jobs, keep young people here at work, that type of thing.
Right. Well, as a union site rep member myself and a delegate on the Central Labor Council, I'm very pleased to have the endorsements of the Central Coast Labor Council, many trades, nurses, teachers, healthcare workers, county employees, because they know that I am someone who will work with them on filling jobs. We have about a 20% vacancy rate at the county itself. We are not leading by example, filling those positions and giving jobs to people. We need to create jobs through technology. The trades also want to work with me because I'm also a bridge builder with the environmental groups. I can work with them to come together and build some of those sustainable energy projects that we don't so desperately need. As I said, building infrastructure along the 126 would be huge. It would boost the restaurants in the area, the businesses in the area, the parks in the area, and so much more. We need to build housing. That's another jobs opportunity. We can do that within the SOAR boundaries. SOAR was meant to go up, not out, to preserve our green spaces, and we need to do that to create the housing. I actually do career training every day. When I was principal of Adolfo Camero High School, we expanded the career technical education programs, unlike programs that were cut when Supervisor Long was on the school board of Pleasant Valley. I also support school barns, which she has not supported. I actually campaign and rally for them and organize for them where she did not support them.
Okay,
and I'm
Kim,
currently a
gonna
STEM club
have to stop
advisor.
you there, Kim.
Thank you.
That's your time. Yeah, we're going to move on to the next question. Kelly, you're first with that. Going to give you all a chance to just take a breath and tell us a little bit more about yourself. What is it in your background that makes you believe you are the best person to be elected if you are elected or reelected? What are some of the specific things you're going to try and get done in those first 90 days? So share with us a little bit about your background and your goals if you are elected.
Thank you. So again, background is mechanical engineering. I have 6 patents on diabetic footwear, casting tape, thumb spica. I've hit executive with knowing budgets and how to really put the end user with what product. So similar to Ventura County, as a supervisor, I provide services and I get to the community's needs. So the outreach and really making sure what we need to know and do is there. And if you've worked with me in the past, which many of you have, people are like, oh, Kelly Long will get that done. Supervisor Long will get that done. And that's what we do. I've done that on the Pleasant Valley School District. I've done that for the last, 8 years going on for a school supervisor. And it's just been a privilege to serve. 90 days, we're continuing to work on the school districts to ensure that students are actually ready to move on to our colleges, trying to pick, like as in the Santa Paula High School, working with Cal State University Channel Islands and also the community school districts, either in Ventura, Oxnard, Moore Park, or the East Center location. And then also what we're trying to do is make sure that we have the water we need, housing, and figure out the budget from the state. That's going to be really a hard one right now. So working with that.
Thank you, Kelly. Kim, you're up next. As far as what you haven't maybe shared with us about your background or that prepares you, what makes you believe you are the best candidate? And also, what will you try to accomplish in that first 90 days? What are your real goals?
Mm-hmm. Is this our closing statement, or is this a different question?
No, not at all.
Okay.
You're not that
all right.
lucky.
It sounds similar. All right. So, I think I am a person with proven leadership, with proven boots on the ground, whether it's as a social justice fund board member, doing amazing projects for equity and social justice throughout the county, including bringing the Conservation Corps to Fillmore right now through an emerging leader, Marisol. Whether it's bringing a farmer's market to Saticoy, which is a food desert, whether it's being every day on the ground with students and their families and working with them on their challenges and preparing them for the future. I've got over 30 years of working, actually more than that if I count the shoe store. I've got many years of serving this community. I am a problem solver. I'm a deep thinker. I don't sugarcoat things. I am honest and truthful, and I will bring that to this board and make sure that we're asking good questions and thinking hard about how to create real solutions, not just talking about them, but actually doing them and implementing them and holding people and our county accountable to being a model county. I have been endorsed by so many people, over 45, compared to, I think, less than 10 by Supervisor Long, because these people have seen me at work for many, many years. They know I'm a doer. They know that I will ask the right questions and have the working people values that will do the right thing for families.
Thank you, Kim. And Heather, share with us a little bit more about your background, why you feel that makes you the best candidate, and what are some of your big goals in the first 90 days?
So my day job is doing public policy consulting. I work with public, private, and nonprofit organizations tying public policy with solutions for their problems. This is literally what I do. I've published about 15 papers on addressing housing, addressing homelessness, addressing healthcare. I have a master's in public administration and a number of certifications on things like cybersecurity, ADA compliance, public budgeting, things like that. In the first 90 days, I feel very strongly that we need to be doing a deep analysis of why we have all these programs to solve these very serious, in some cases, existential problems for our community, and they're not working. Like fentanyl, our fentanyl programming is not working. We're not meeting benchmarks. Our homelessness programming is not working. Our mental health programming is not working. Housing is not being fixed. All of these problems, they're not being fixed no matter how much money we throw at these programs. And so I think that the first 90 days, the most important thing is to tie together why. Why are these programs not working, and what do we do to make them work efficiently and quickly so that the problems are fixed?
Thank you, Heather. Kim, I'm going to start the next question with you. You're going to go back to something along the lines of politics. So the Voters' Choice Act is a statewide act that was passed to allow counties to put in voting centers and other conveniences. It allows longer voting periods. It is something that is run by the county's independent clerk recorder, but there are people out there who believe, no, we should be looking at this differently, that we should not have quite so much time available for voting. Perhaps there should be voter ID required. And while this is always going to be the decision of the independent county clerk, I'd like to hear your views about some of these things that are talked about locally and nationally, as far as the safety of ballots, mail-in ballots, the safety of people who are voting from home, and also as far as the extended hours and the voting centers. So share with us your views if you think the Voters' Choice Act should be rescinded, or if you think there are other changes that should happen in Ventura County related to that.
I think right now, the situation we're in compared to where we were 4 years ago, where there was so much chaos around voting besides COVID and other things that were happening. But, there was the DMV issue, and there was the transition from the traditional places to vote to these community, a smaller number of community centers. We have come so far in the last 4 years, and it is the job of the county clerk recorder, and I think she's doing a great job. My general philosophy on voting is that it should be as accessible to all eligible voters as possible. There's no reason that technology and our systems can't be put into place so that all people who are eligible to vote have the information they need, have access to register, and we have secure ways of making sure that the right people are voting. When I say the right people, I don't mean people who support me. I mean the right people, people who are eligible to vote. So access to voting, like all county services, should be as broad as possible. And I'm really grateful that we have these boxes now in locations that people are familiar with, that we have increased communication now. And I would sure hate to restrict any language issues or any other reasons that would prevent people from voting. Thanks.
Thank you. Kelly, you're up next on this one. As I stated earlier, the county clerk is in charge of this, but there are concerns from people as far as voting and feel that maybe we should go back to the old way of doing it. There are some that think maybe we should have hand counting, but as I'm sure everyone on this panel knows, Ventura County is much too large to have hand counting of ballots. It's illegal in the county. But what are your views on the Voters' Choice Act? Do you think any parts should be rescinded? Do you believe our elections are being conducted appropriately?
Thank you. And if anyone tuned on to the Board of Supervisor meetings, Michelle Ascension, our county clerk, has been educating our Ventura County about the process that she, as an elected official, is overseeing. And what she is doing is following the state legislation in how we do our ballots and the voting process. What I think is extremely important is to make sure that our process is trusted and verified, because we hear from all sides, and I appreciate that everyone was so respectable and in those meetings, and we're going to have another one tomorrow at the Board of Supervisors meeting, so please tune in to ensure that if there's any fraud, that people are actually calling the hotline and making sure that there is no fraud, and making sure that voters have the accessibility is extremely important. If they are eligible to vote, that they can. I think it's important that we don't have a small percentage actually picking who is running our county. And as we've seen it in the past, we know how important these elections are and how the leadership from the top in our county, in our state, and so forth is so crucial to our constituents, and to make sure that we have
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather, same question to you about your views on the Voters' Choice Act, if there's things to support or you think should be changed.
Yeah, so the Voters' Choice Act, is opt-in, and I trust the county clerk in her discretion, and I agree that she has done an incredible job thus far, and I think that I am particularly impressed with their transparency and their commitment to that, and their educational approach. So, I agree with Kim that we need to be making voting as easy as possible, especially in our community where we have people working 2 and 3 jobs. I mean, my neighbor is a single mother. She works 4 jobs to pay her rent. How can somebody who's working 4 jobs vote if she doesn't have an option like a mail-in ballot? So I agree with making it as easy as possible. But I think that this also highlights another kind of issue for me, which is what happens when you have a very big group of people that don't feel heard. Because there is some kind of a group, they actually contacted me recently, who was adamantly opposed to the Voters' Choice Act and wants us to opt out. And I think that they don't feel heard. And I would like to see us find more strategies to make them feel heard, because when people don't, they lose trust in government. So how can we use this as an opportunity to have conversations and rebuild that trust?
Thank you, Heather. So audience, we've reached that point where we're ready to begin with closing statements. I'm sorry that we weren't able to get to all of these questions. I do think we've been able to talk a little bit about Santa Paula, Fillmore, Piru area, and the district in general. And I think all of these candidates deserve our thanks for being here tonight and sharing their views and visions. We are going to do the closing statements in the reverse order. And that means that Supervisor Kelly Long will go first. And Kelly, you have 1.5 minutes when you're ready.
Thank you so much, and appreciate the league and the Santa Paula Business Chamber of Commerce. Sorry, getting all tongue-tied. So many thoughts in my head in regards to things I want to say today. But it has been an honor to serve for the last 2 terms. And I believe the 3rd district is the most dynamic and diverse in our county. And I'm just so proud to work tirelessly on this county for all of our residents. I think that's the important part. We need to be making sure every single person is listened to and the needs met. And I've been enjoying meeting everybody and just so committed. Thank you also to Kay Wilson, Spirit of Santa Paula. You know, we have Jan Mulhart, Boys and Girls Club of Santa Clara Valley, organizations like Santa Paula Latino Town Hall and Santa Clara Valley Together, who consistently work to give the voice of the underserved. And I'm continually meet with everyday heroes to make sure our community is first. I'd like to say thank you to the Professional Fires Association for their endorsement, our Deputy Sheriff's Association, Professional Peace Officers, Probation State Organization, Oxnard Police Officers. I've got the Carpenters. We've also got Teamsters, La Luna, Iron Workers, Agriculture, our West Ventura County Business Alliance. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. Our next candidate, Kim Morris Stevenson.
Hi again. Thank you to all of you for being here tonight, and to the League of Women Voters and the Chamber of Commerce of Santa Paula for hosting this. Thank you to my fellow candidates. This is an exciting process. I just want to share and remind you that I have the same immigrant story as many people in District 3. I understand the issues. I am that kid that grew up with humble beginnings by a single mom, a woman of color, widowed at age 31, who raised us very humbly and gave us the message that education was the key. Keep going to school, and this was going to be our way out to change the economic trajectory of our families. The good news is it did. All of my brothers and sisters, all 4 of us, have graduate degrees. I went on from Rio Mesa to UCLA and got my PhD at Stanford University. I came back to serve. My sister is a Wainini elementary school teacher. My brother served in Afghanistan and is now an ophthalmologist from the training he got from the Navy. My other sister is on the faculty at University of Michigan. We are veterans educators. We all got our graduate degrees. And I am now here to serve and take all of my many years of experience, whether it was as the president of the Ventura County Women's Forum, Social Justice Fund of Ventura County board member, AAUW member, educator, shoe store manager, and here to serve as your supervisor with the endorsement of Dolores Huerta, State Superintendent of Schools, Tony Thurmond, Congresswoman Brownlee, Assembly Member Steve Bennett, and Monique Limon, and many local leaders. Thank you.
Kim. And Heather, go ahead and have you unmute. And when you're ready, you have 1.5 minutes. Our last candidate, Heather Schmidt.
So I would actually like to conclude by reiterating what's just really important to me and what I feel we need to do for the county. We need to restore good governance. What does that mean? We need to improve how the government runs. We need it to be working for all of the people in this county. Again, it is not doing so right now. We need to resolve our issues using data, using evidence, not using special interests, not using feelings. We need to look at every single issue as in our county and figure out how we fix it, and we fix it now. And that needs to be our priority. We need to improve public health and safety. We need to be innovating so that emergency workers can meet the challenges of today in an even better way than they already do. And we need to be creating jobs, and we need to be resolving our housing problem. I have experienced the housing crisis myself. I cannot emphasize to you how existential it is to our community. I feel it is a ticking time bomb. Families cannot afford to live here. school enrollment is dropping off a cliff. This county is not going to be sustainable on this course. So I would like to thank the League of Women Voters and Santa Paula Chamber of Commerce also for hosting this forum this evening. And I also want anybody that wants to check out my website, schmidt4district3.com, because you can find out more about me and my priorities there. So thank you again.
Thank you, candidates. Quick message for our audience as far as preparing to vote. This is some important information. You can check your voter status information at voterstatus.sos.ca.gov. Ballots were delivered to the post office today, so those of you who have already signed up for ballot tracking, which can be done at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov, and you can just go to Google and type in "Where's my ballot, California," and it'll get you there. But the cool thing about this website is it tells you when your ballot is in the mail, and then after you return it, if it's at a drop box, it tells you it's been picked up, has it gone through the system, so you know that your ballot was received and properly counted. There are resources out there for voters to learn more about candidates. You can go to Vote 411 California. Ballotpedia has the important information, and of course, your League of Women Voters, Ventura County, we have information there as well. I'd like to also tell you about two other forums that are coming up. This Friday is the Judicial Forum. There are 4 candidates running for judge of the Superior Court in Ventura County. There is no current incumbent, so your vote certainly matters to select which one of these will be elected. Like this supervisor's race, if one candidate gets 50%, slightly over 50%, then the race will be over. There'll be no general. But if no candidate reaches that limit for the supervisor race or the judges, there'll be a runoff in November. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for participating tonight and remind everyone to vote. And if you're interested to follow us at our other forums. So I'm David Marin with the League of Women Voters. Thank you all for attending. Good night.